Now it's time for Fantasy Fanatics.
All right, we're back.
Yes. Welcome to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
I'm Andrew Freeman. We took a leave of absence last week because I was feeling a little under the weather.
Yeah, I was too, actually. I was sick for most of last weekend, so yeah, not good. But
the strep came back negative, and I'm ready to go.
Well, that's good.
Thank you, Mr. Jonathan Hood. It's been a privilege and an honor working with you.
Every time the show starts and we play the intro, there's always a random commercial that plays after it. Never understood that. But
good times.
Yeah. This is Fantasy Fanatics, and as we said, we were off last week. We're back again. And
our favorite season is about to start.
Yes,
as everyone knows.
Fantasy football is starting up, of course. And are we going to start with fantasy football or fantasy baseball today?
Fantasy football, man. I'm so excited to get
because we're breaking the show into two different hours because our show's 2 hours. Our first hour is going to be about fantasy football. Our second hour is going to be about fantasy baseball because we'll keep you obviously up to date on that. But yes, fantasy football is definitely starting up. I know most of the NFL teams have started their mini camps and training camps and everything. So
OTAs are
OTAs are well underway and everything. So hopefully it'll be a good season. We printed out to talk about the top 50. I think this list I printed out goes up to 56 or whatever, but we'll just talk about the top 50 of the NFL players. I mean, it's tough to rank these players because it's so early, but obviously number one, again, is Adrian Peterson, which
I disagree, but it's
he's had some injuries, but he seems to be number one every year, right?
Yeah, every year for the last 3 years he's been number one. Last year not so much because they didn't know about his injury.
Right.
What would happen with that, because torn MCL or whatever he had. It's pretty serious.
I know he worked like major rehab to get back and play and everything, which
the only problem with this is like he has phenomenal games where he scores a lot of points.
Oh yeah.
But then there's defenses that figure out it's just going to be a run game because the Vikings don't have a quarterback.
True.
So if the defense is smart enough, Adrian Peterson goes off some games, but there's most games he gets like 10, maybe 15 points.
Right.
He's not one of those backs that are going to get you 20 points every week in and out.
Yeah, and as we're looking at the list, most of them are running backs. That's probably because they usually score the most points.
Who would be your number one running back? Because I already have one. I have one in
going
mind.
in. Yeah, I also don't think it should be Adrian Peterson. I might go with Jamal Charles because Jamal Charles can also receive. Yeah. He has a lot of receiving yards.
I agree. He wouldn't be my number one. I'd probably go with Marshawn Lynch.
Because
they have the throwing game and they have the running game, and it's a dual threat.
Right.
And plus, Marshawn can get into the throwing game.
And that's the thing with a lot of running backs now. I mean, a lot of them receive. I know Matt Forte on the Bears gets tons of receiving yards as well.
You need a running back that can catch the ball.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just...
And it didn't used to be like that, but I think lately in the last 4 years...
Well, the game's changed completely. The tight ends have to catch now. They're not just blockers anymore. Fullbacks are getting to the mix.
Yep.
I mean, I love Kuhn. I wouldn't use him in a fantasy draft, but I love the guy. He'll sneak in a touchdown every other game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's good. Martellus Bennett on the Bears. He's a really good tight end, too. But number one on this list for the top fantasy player for all you to draft, if you get the first pick, which would be pretty awesome, NFL.com's telling you to take Adrian Peterson. But,
I'd put Adrian Peterson. If they don't get a decent quarterback, I would put him all the way down where Arian Foster is.
At number 10?
Number 10.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because I'd see LaShawn McCoy very good. He has a good quarterback.
Yeah, and, I don't think you're going to go wrong with any of these guys, obviously.
Yeah.
For taking your first pick, especially because I think picks 1 through 6 are all running backs.
Yes.
Matt Forte is at number 4, by the way. So I mean that's a little interesting to me. I know he had a really good year. He did breakout season maybe in 2010, 2011, and then he's been pretty consistent ever since. He definitely had a really good year last year. I know he broke a lot of Chicago Bears records and everything.
There's not too many running backs that can just do a running game. You need the quarterback to be able to throw, to be able to spread the ball around. Otherwise, the defense is just going to be focused on the run.
Exactly.
That's why Adrian Peterson's number one, because he's amazing. He can make He can make his own yards.
Yeah, I mean, he spins, and every time when you think you've tackled him,
the spin, the
there
acceleration,
he goes, stretching extra yards.
He's
and everything.
elusive.
Yeah. Number 2 on this list is LaShawn McCoy. He had
completely agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with it. I think he's obviously he's one of the best running backs in the game. He definitely had a good season, so he's definitely going to look to do it. And also on the side of the sheet of paper we have here, it says the auction value, and that's if you're doing an auction draft.
Yep.
So Adrian Peterson would be worth $54. LaShawn McCoy, $52, Matt Forte, $49, and then it goes down from there. Obviously.
Our draft is going to be coming up in a few weeks, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
We probably won't have an auction, though. We're going to have normal Snake.
Yeah, I kind of like Snake.
I like Snake. But for waiver pickups, there might be an auction thing going on, just so you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
And it just won't be the guy who's next up in the waiver, because I hate the waiver. No, you're 10th on waiver, so a guy above you can snatch the guy that you picked up first. Like, you're going to have to put money down.
Yeah, I also like that idea.
Yeah, because then it's like, should I put down $10 or should I?
Yeah, because someone could waste a lot of money on somebody that they might not get. So
it's true.
Yeah, Jamal Charles is number 3. He had a very good season for Kansas City, and Kansas City had a good season as they went to the playoffs and got stunned by the Colts in that first round game.
I cannot believe Kansas City was up by so many points.
I know, and I was rooting for KansasIty because I'm not a huge Colts fan because that they beat the Bears.
I was just surprised that Andrew Luck put that together. That was amazing comeback.
I mean, Andrew Luck's a great quarterback.
Yeah, he's just getting better every year.
Yeah, I think Indiana definitely lucked out by getting him.
I think it was a good move.
Yeah. And so, Jamal Charles is number 3 on this list. Number 4 is Matt Forte. Number 5, Eddie Lacy.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either. I know Eddie Lacy had a pretty good season, but will he keep it up? I don't know.
How's he like before Marshawn Lynch? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that I don't understand. I guess it's because you have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers is. But
Eddie Lacy doesn't have the hands to catch. He doesn't catch in the backfield. They always had a second running back do all the catching.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But Eddie Lacy, he definitely had a good season last year. But
would you say it was better than Marshawn Lynch's though?
I don't think it was better than Marshawn Lynch. I mean, Marshawn Lynch won the Super Bowl, so
yeah. Well, Russell Wilson had a little something to do with that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, he was on a Super Bowl winning team. And if Eddie Lacy can continue to have a good season, like if he has a season like he had last year, if he has another season like that, then I guess him and Matt Forte are pretty similar because they're both sort of burst onto the scene and they're both starting to do really good now. Number 6, Marshawn Lynch, which I think we both agree he should be a little higher.
Yeah,
at least taking the place of Eddie Lacy.
I might even put him before Forte, put him at 4.
Yeah, I could put him.
But Forte is valuable because he also catches. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, he definitely catches a lot. And Peyton Manning, number 7, of course, he's the.
I think his stock's going to fall this year. I don't think
so.
After being brutally beaten in the Super Bowl like a little child, defenses are going to see him. He's not the Superman anymore.
Yeah.
It was the geriatric bowl. He got stunned.
Yeah, he definitely did.
And yeah, he's not the defense. He doesn't play all the positions, but your one job's to score. There was no scoring. He got completely dominated, and he's the guy that's known for checking down defenses. Mm-hmm. What the heck? He got destroyed.
Yeah, he did. And
wow.
But I mean, he. Yeah. I also saw something. It was. I saw it on either Twitter. I think I saw it on. They had the odds of winning the Super Bowl for 2014, and the Broncos are number 1 again.
I think Seattle should be number 1. They have all the same players. They still have rookies under rookie contracts. Yeah. They don't have to get rid of anyone for cap. So
right.
I'm going to pick right now that Seattle's actually going to win the Super Bowl.
You think they'll repeat?
I'm thinking they're going to repeat because they have all the same parts.
Because in football, you'd never really see repeats. I mean, the Patriots did it in the 2000s, but you never really see repeats in football. I mean, you have to have a dynasty-like team.
I'm calling a repeat because they have awesome players.
Yeah.
They have Wilson. They have Marshawn Lynch. They have Richard Sherman in the back.
Richard Sherman.
They have a ridiculous. They have a ridiculous safety core. The secondary is sick. Seattle, hands down, Seattle.
And
the only ones they have to worry about beating are the 49ers.
Yeah, the 49ers are going to be tough again, like they have been the last few years. But I think the list I was looking at, odds to win the Super Bowl, it went Denver, Seattle. I think number 3 was San Francisco, which is probably right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I believe New England was number 4, maybe New Orleans. I know 4 and 5 was New England and New Orleans. 6 Green Bay, 7 Chicago.
I felt like the San Francisco-Seattle game was a Super Bowl game. Super Bowl worthy.
That was such an awesome
game.
And
I feel like you're going to have the same thing this year. That division is just so competitive.
I know.
And it's ridiculous.
I mean, obviously I'm hoping the Bears win the NFC North, but I know the Packers are going to be the favorites just because of Aaron Rodgers pretty much.
I don't think the Packers are as good as the Bears.
I really hope not. See,
Aaron Rodgers
the whole
good.
thing comes down to Jay Cutler being healthy. Yeah. Jay Cutler puts together a full season, a full 16-game season, which he's never really done. If he can put together a full 16-game season, he could definitely lead the team to the playoffs.
And you guys got a decent backup now in Clausen.
Yeah, he's going to be fighting for a backup spot.
I think he's going to get it. I'm
assuming he's going to get it because I haven't heard any of the names of anybody else.
He lost his starting position because the Redskins got him and RG3. And that's not really a fair matchup. They're very different in the way they do things. Clausen's more of a stand-up, and RG3 runs all over the field.
Yeah, he does. So Peyton Manning was number 7. Number 8, tight end Jimmy Graham. I mean, this guy's a beast, obviously.
I mean, usually when I do my draft, I do running back, and then quarterback.
That's pretty smart, yeah. I think that's what a lot of people do.
But if Jimmy Graham's available, I push quarterback to 4th pick.
Okay.
There's no tight end even standing in his shadow. He gets so many points.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, he's no question the best tight end in the game because he's more of a wide receiver more than anything.
He's gigantic, dude. He's so tall.
Yeah, he's got size over everyone that covers him. That's why he gets so many touchdowns, and when you got a great quarterback like Drew Brees throwing you the ball,
he's so athletic.
It's gonna be good.
Jump his vertical's awesome, and to be that tall and have that big of a vertical, of course, he's going to score all over your tiny secondary.
Yeah. We will take a break and come back and talk to you more about this top 50 of the players going into the 2014 NFL season. Hoping that the Bears can do something and go to the playoffs finally. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2011, so. We'll talk more about fantasy football back here on Fantasy Fanatics after the break.
Now it's time for Fantasy Fanatics.
We're back.
Yes, we are. We're back here for Fantasy Fanatics. We're talking about fantasy football for this first hour of the show. And we were going over the top 50 or so players here on the player list from NFL.com. This is going into the 2014 season. And of course, fantasy is well underway.
Start a new career in 1 year.
And number 9 on this list, because number 8 was Jimmy Graham, who we talked about before the break, and number 9, Calvin Johnson, Megatron, the wide receiver for Detroit.
Number 1 wide receiver. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. He didn't have as good of a season as he normally has last year, but he definitely can turn around and have a good season anytime. So, yeah, he's probably, he's definitely the best wide receiver out there. And he's going to get a lot of points. I know that.
Yes, he is.
He's a majority of their scoring for the Lions. So
it's true. It's like Cutler and Marshall.
Yep.
Except Marshall's a little Megatron.
Yeah. Number 10 on this list, Arian Foster, running back for Houston.
I felt like he hit a wall last year. He just wasn't as good as Arian Foster can be. And he had sparks of life, but he just, points-wise, didn't make it, in my mind. And that's where I would switch him out with somebody else.
Yeah, you'd move him.
Doug Martin. I'd put Doug Martin above him.
Doug Martin's a good choice.
And then also Alfred Morris, Zach Stacy. All of those would go up. I'd move them all up above.
Yeah, I really like
up.
Zach Stacy.
Zach Stacy he's a bulldozer.
Yeah, he's really good.
He will run through you.
Number 11 on the list is another quarterback. This is the second quarterback on the list. It went Peyton Manning at number 7, and then number 11, Drew Brees, which, of course, is
throwing the long ball.
Right. Yep.
I mean, this guy, he always has those 30, 40-yard passes every game.
Yeah, he's definitely really good. He's definitely got a lot of skill.
I'd pick up Drew Brees, but I'd never pick up one of his wide receivers.
Right, because he's only throwing to Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, but you never know which wide receiver is going to have a big game.
Right.
It could be Meacham, or I feel like all of them got traded. But yeah, it could be any wide receiver having a big game at that point.
Right. And let's see. Next is number 12, DeMarco Murray, running back for Dallas. What do you think about DeMarco Murray?
Push him down. Zach Stacy, Alfred Morris, both go above him, I believe, because they had good seasons. Maybe even Andre Ellington, because Andre Ellington actually catches the ball more than he runs it.
Le'Veon Bell is on this list. He had an okay season last year. I don't know if he should be number 13.
Pitt did not figure out their running. Like, they had so many injuries last year with the running back situation. They had Redmond, and they had like 4 different running backs.
Yeah,
that they were trying to figure out what is going on here. So, Le'Veon Bell, I'd also push him down. Down.
Yeah, number 14, Des Bryant.
We were talking about this earlier. I'd put Demaryius Thomas above Des Bryant.
Yeah, so switch 15 and 14, because number 15 is Demaryius Thomas.
I'd take A.J. Green over him. I'd take Brandon Marshall over him.
I'd definitely take Brandon Marshall.
Julio Jones.
You just don't know what you're going to get with Des Bryant.
Yeah, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, those are all good wide receivers that I'd take over him.
Bryant's also not the best teammate to have, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many other options.
So we sort of went over other players like A.J. Green, Brandon Marshall, number 17 on the list. He'll hopefully have a good year. Number 18, right after Marshall, is Aaron Rodgers, the Packers quarterback who we all despise. But he is really good, obviously.
I don't disagree with that placement. So
yeah, I don't disagree with the placement. He's the third best quarterback on here according to them. I agree with that. I mean, him and Breeze are pretty similar. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Number 19, Julio Jones, who of course was injured for a good portion of the season last
Atlanta
year.
got dismantled like completely last season. Yeah. It was just bad. They're supposed to be one of the top teams going into it.
Do you think that if Julio Jones stays healthy and a lot of other players start to get it together, do you think that they could definitely be a playoff team next year?
I just don't. After seeing them get dismantled like that, just from a few wide receiver injuries and frontline injuries, like the quarterback, he's a good quarterback, but
Matt Ryan.
He's not good under pressure. Matt Ryan, yeah.
Yeah, he's all right.
He threw a lot of interceptions.
Right, and they just couldn't really get at it. I think they started to get it together a little bit at the end of the season.
At the end, yeah, but
they won like 3 or 4 games in a row.
It's too late.
Yeah, because, they're always in a tough division. That NFC South is always pretty tough with New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, I think, is in there.
Yeah, I'd put them in a wild card.
Bay, I think.
I'd put them in a wild card, definitely.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, a lot of these teams could definitely be wild card teams.
I'm going to put them with the Tampa Bay. Like, they're just trying to figure out their team right now. Right. They don't have it down.
Speaking of Tampa Bay, I mean, that's like Chicago Bears number 2. It's like Chicago Bears South team. Because you got Lovie Smith, Josh McCown, and...
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And Tampa Bay goes into Soldier Field later this year, so that'll be interesting to see.
It should be, yeah.
Number 20, Monty Ball.
And I would push Monty. What happened to No Sean Moreno? He was the main guy last season, and they pushed him to the side that season as well.
Yeah, he also had a lot of receiving yards.
He wasn't the starter. No Sean Moreno wasn't the starter, but he became the starter because he beat out Monte Ball. Because Monte Ball was coughing up the ball, and he wasn't averaging 3 yards per carry.
At least on this list of 50, I don't see No Sean Moreno.
I'd rather Monty Ball. I'd rather have No Sean. And then there's a lot of other running backs lower that I would pick up ahead of him.
Would a guy that you'd pick up ahead of him to be Doug Martin for Tampa Bay? He's number 22.
Yes.
Yeah, I also agree with that. Even Reggie Bush, number 23.
Reggie Bush is around the same, but I would put Reggie Bush before Monte Ball.
Yeah, I would too. Let's see. Gio Bernard is number 21. I haven't really heard of him. He's on Cincinnati.
He did all right last season. He wasn't he didn't do as good as, let's say, Alfred Morris and Zach Stacy,
right?
Who are behind him somehow.
They're expecting big things from Gio Bernard, but he is on the Bengals, and the Bengals always choke. I know.
True.
I think they've been to the playoffs for the last 4 or 5 years, and they haven't won a game, something like that.
They've had good
very
teams.
sad.
They've had good teams, good defensive, offensive teams, but they just seem to not do well middle of the season.
Yeah, something sort of happens where they just sort of limp into the playoffs, and then they always lose that first game.
My favorite Bengals team was when Palmer first made it to the playoffs. It was like his second season or something like that.
Right.
But then the first game they're in it, first snap, he gets tackled, tears an MCL, ACL.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that, yeah.
And Carson Palmer was supposed to be one of those great quarterbacks.
Yeah, he was another bust.
Well, he wasn't
sort of
a
like
bust.
how Brady Quinn was supposed to be good too. He was supposed to change Cleveland, and
he got injured so much. When you tear your ACL, MCL, I mean, come on. And then he had some elbow issues later on. And
yeah, it just really sucks when your quarterback has injuries. Like Jay Cutler being injured every year really does hurt the Bears a lot.
Yeah,
because we saw how the Packers play without Aaron Rodgers. They're about a 500 team at best.
Yeah,
so,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, he did have that one amazing game.
Yeah, he had the good game
Flynn.
against the Bears that he came back for, and
that
was very disappointing to me. But yeah,
very much.
Number 24, Antonio Brown, wide receiver for Pittsburgh.
I picked him up as my number one wide receiver last year, and I was very satisfied with his results. He was really good, very good.
Yeah, so hopefully he can keep that up, and because he's number 24 on this list, so he's doing pretty good. Yeah, the Steelers didn't have that good of a season. I think they finished 7-9, maybe 8-8.
Yeah.
They didn't make the playoffs though for the first time in a while for them, because when you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you usually think they're in the playoffs.
Roethlisberger's accuracy was kind of funky there for a while.
It was. He's definitely he's definitely showing his age. I know that.
Yeah, he's a big guy, man.
Yeah,
his pump fake isn't going to work every year. I mean, people are gonna. They used to gloat about his pump fake and how people are just
right.
He can't run away either. He's hard to tackle, but he is
hard to tackle.
He's not moving much these days.
We're going to take a scoreboard update, come back, talk a little bit more about some of these players, and then take a break. So for now, time for an update. Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
I'm Andrew Freeman.
And we were going over some more players, so let's just get right back into it. Number 25, Jordy Nelson, the good wide receiver for the Packers. I mean, that's definitely Aaron Rodgers' favorite target.
Alex Cobb. It's because it's on cue, and if you just press stop on the commercial.
Yeah, I got it.
But Jordy Nelson, or would you put Alex Cobb? I'm gonna go with Cobb.
I don't know. I think I'd stick with Jordy Nelson.
All right.
Because he's Aaron Rodgers' favorite target, I think. So
racist.
He's definitely going to get
just pure racist. No.
That's not why.
Rob Gronkowski is number 26, New England's tight end, and I think Tom Brady hit the age wall, man.
Yeah,
I think he hit it. I was looking at that season. I was looking at Tom Brady's accuracy, and it dropped like 15, 20 points.
Yeah, it did.
He's instead of in the high 60s, he was 50%, something like that. Well, he's been in the 70% for a long time. And last season he was like 60, maybe low or high 50s.
Right.
And all of his passes were short passes, just like Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Let's see, 27, Alshon Jeffrey. The other good, he definitely had a breakout year last year and was definitely one of the best wide receivers in the game. So hopefully he can keep that up because Yeah, Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey, that's the best 1-2 punch of wide receivers in the NFL, at least on the same team. So, yeah, Alshon Jeffrey will definitely do some big things this year.
Number 28 is Alfred Morris, who I've been gloating about for a while now. I think he's a good pickup. It's a fast-paced team, the fast-paced offense, and
yeah,
I like him.
Yeah, he's definitely on a good team where he can run a lot and get a lot of offensive opportunities. And RG3, hopefully he'll have a good season. He didn't have the best season, but he'll definitely, because I think they had 4 or 5 wins, the Washington Redskins, so hopefully he'll be able to turn that team around a little bit and make it competitive. Andre Ellington is number 29. Zach Stacy is number 30. Zach Stacy obviously has been a pretty good player for the Rams. 31, Randall Cobb. 32, Ryan Matthews. 33, Larry Fitzgerald, wide receiver for Arizona. You think he should be up the list a little bit?
Who's even his quarterback now? The Arizona quarterback since...
Yeah, I don't know exactly who the Cardinals...
Since Kurt Warner left there, the quarterback situation has been crazy.
Yeah. And they did have a pretty good season. I think they exceeded expectations last year. They had 9 or 10 wins. They missed out going to the playoffs, but they had, they were pretty close.
They would not have Andre Ellington start last season, and it drove me nuts. Because yards per carry, Andre Ellington doubled whoever they put as the starter, Beanie Wells or whoever's the other. It drove me insane because you have a talented... He can catch, he can run, he's fast. Why wouldn't you just put them as starters? So hopefully he's their starter now because there's running back issues.
Yeah.
Because he was only playing one quarter of the game.
Right. We're going to take a quick break and come back and talk to you more about this. And then coming up at 3 o'clock, we're going to have some baseball talk for our baseball portion of Fantasy Fanatics. And we'll see how we did on those pitching matchups that we talked to with Nick Swinky, our special guest. That was a couple weeks ago. So we'll see how we did on there as I was tallying them up today. I think we did pretty well, and it's fairly even again. So.
Fairly even.
Yeah, and we can go over that for tonight's games, too, and we'll keep doing that. So stick around to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. We're talking about the football players coming up in the 2014 football season, and we have, as we're going down this list... We've got, who did we leave off on? We left off on Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Andrew Luck is at number 34, and I agree with his placement.
I do too.
Top elite quarterback, good for a first quarterback pick.
Definitely. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
I don't really like the Colts as a team, but I definitely like Andrew Luck. And he makes me like the team a lot more, just because the way he plays in that big comeback. And then he almost beat New England, too, in that second-round game. Came pretty close.
Very close. The Chiefs game took everything out of him, though.
Yeah,
they were so far behind in that game. And it was probably one of the most amazing playoff games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I was glad I was watching it live.
I'm glad that I saw it live as well.
Yeah.
The comeback.
Awesome.
That was probably one of the best playoffs with that game and then the Seattle-San Francisco game.
Seattle-San Francisco was great,
just it was a grudge match there.
And Andre Johnson, number 35 on the list.
I don't think he should be that high. I think he hit a wall last year as well with all the quarterback issues that happened.
Yeah, and a lot of these Houston players sort of hit a wall because they were so bad.
It's true.
That I think they were predicted to go to the playoffs, and they only ended up with 2 or 3 wins.
I'd put Victor Cruz above Andre Johnson. I'd put Pierre Garçon above Andre Johnson.
I definitely put Pierre Garçon above him.
Wes Welker, not so much, because you have...
Yeah, I don't know about Wes
Thomas.
It's interesting.
All those good wide receivers there in Denver.
Yeah, and we got
and
Wes
a good
Welker
tight end
is number 36. Number 37 is Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, that's my team this year that I'm cheering for is Carolina Panthers.
I also like the Carolina Panthers. When the Bears got rid of Olsen and he went to the Panthers, I was kind of upset about it because I really like Greg Olsen, and Mike Martz sort of forced him out of town, and they were trying to win that way. But
Martellus Bennett, though,
like
is
Greg
just
Olsen.
underused. He's not used enough.
Yeah, and I had a Greg Olsen jersey, and it was an orange Greg Olsen jersey. It was awesome. And
You better wear it for the throwback.
yeah, and well, it might be too small now, but I was definitely mad when they got rid of Greg Olsen. Vincent Jackson, number 38 on the list. He's on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, I think, could surprise a lot of people this year.
They have good running back. Who's their quarterback, though?
Well, that's the issue.
Did they keep that dude?
Lovie Smith supposedly already named the starter as Josh McCown.
Oh, wow.
And is Josh McCown good? Yeah, he's a good quarterback. He's not going to lead your team to the Super Bowl unless you have a really, really good offense around him.
I mean, Doug Martin's pretty decent running back. I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah, Doug Martin's a good quarterback. Josh McCown with the Bears, the Bears offense made Josh McCown look good, and he wasn't as good.
Yeah, but you're thinking, why can't Cutler make your offense look good? Because some days
it's because he's getting injured, and then they try to do some things because
sugar.
if they're down, they try to force the ball a little too much. I think that's part of the issue.
Someone give that kid an orange juice, maybe a Capri Sun, get him out of his rut.
And let's see who is next. Pierre Garcon. We talked about him just a couple minutes ago. He's pretty good. Victor Cruz at number 40.
Victor Cruz, I picked him up before he was a thing. I picked him up in 2011 after he was playing what are the pre-games called? He was playing a preseason game.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns, like 200 yards. I was like, oh my God, he's amazing. I picked him up. They didn't even start him that season. Not until the end of the season.
Really?
That's when there was like Hakeem Nicks and Manningham or whatever his name is.
Right.
They didn't even play him. I was like, what the heck? This guy got 3 touchdowns and 200 yards in one preseason game.
Rashard Jennings is right after him. Same team. He's a running back for the Giants.
No.
You don't think he should be this high?
No. No. No.
I definitely take C.J. Spiller and put him in front of him.
Ben Tate is after him. I'm going to get back to Rashad Jennings, but Ben Tate's after him. I don't know why. I'm a Fozzie Whitaker fan. Don't know if you know this. I should probably buy his jersey.
Yeah, you should.
I don't know if you know about Fozzie Whitaker, but
no, I've heard of him.
He's sort of like my Flowers for NFL. But yeah, I put C.J. Spiller above him. C.J. Spiller had a horrible season, and the experts are calling him the most elusive back in the NFL.
Yeah, he definitely had
that
some
was
some
bad.
ups and downs. And,
He was just bad. There was no ups at all. Because I picked up him, and I picked up David Wilson. Those were my 2 running backs. I was like, I have good running backs. No. David Wilson was horrible, and CJ was worse.
Yeah.
But I think CJ Spiller will do good this season, and I'll put him above Rashad Jennings and Ben Tate.
Let's see. Michael Crabtree
Has been injured since his rookie year.
45. Yeah, I mean, he's probably right where he should be at 45.
Yeah. No,
if he
I
can
want
put
to
together. He'll definitely be a good player if he doesn't get injured as much, anyway. Because he has been injured pretty much his whole career.
I mean, Deshaun Jackson doesn't deserve to be 56, but Crabtree's really good.
Keenan Allen, he had a pretty good year for San Diego.
He had a few games where he blew up.
I think he scored 2 touchdowns in their first playoff game.
Yeah. He's got good hands.
I think they're the ones that beat the Bengals last year. That they went into Cincinnati and beat the Bengals.
Now, if you could get rid of that Rivers kid and get a real quarterback, that'd be great.
Yeah, Rivers is pretty much done.
He throws like a girl, dude. he throws like a girl.
Yeah.
Watch
his
tape.
prime, was like 07, 08, and then he just sort of...
He lost an accuracy contest to a high schooler.
Did he really?
Yes. That's like Michael Jordan losing a game of horse to a 6th grader.
It's
come on, man.
It shouldn't happen.
Yeah. You're in the NFL. You need to be accurate.
Let's see. Roddy White, number 47. He was sort of starting to turn into a pretty good player.
He had some injury issues.
Yeah.
Like the
I'm
whole
not sure if he
wide
had that good of a
receiver
year last year. I know he had a good year in 2012. He had a really good year in 2012, 2 years ago. And then last year, I don't think he was doing as good. Here's number 48, kind of an odd name.
Yes.
Running back for Tennessee, Bishop Sankey.
A.K.A. Stanky Bishop. That's our nickname for him.
Bishop, yeah.
And you heard that first here on Chicago, SportsTownChicago.com.
Someone will call him that, and then we'll be like, oh.
He's a Stanky Bishop.
I wonder if he is a rookie or...
Yeah, I've never heard his name before.
He's got to be a rookie.
And I'm always looking at waiver wire pickups, and this is the first time I've seen his name.
Yeah. Number 49, he had a pretty good year. Cordero Patterson, wide receiver option for the Minnesota Vikings. He definitely had a pretty good year, starting to carry the Vikings into the 5 or 6 wins that they actually did get. I mean, I don't mind the Vikings. I think they're a pretty good team. I definitely like them more than the Packers and Lions as far as the NFC North.
Yeah, because they suck worse than the Packers.
Right, and the Packers and Lions piss me off, especially the Lions with Ndamukong Suh and
They got a dirty front 7, dude. Dirty.
I know.
It's just dirty.
And they beat the Bears twice last year. That's a big reason why the Bears didn't go to playoffs, because they lost 2 games in their division to Detroit.
You know, I'm looking here, and Chris Johnson is below a lot of people that shouldn't be below him. Like, I think Chris Johnson should be ahead of Bishop, stanky leg Bishop.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that, just because we don't know what Sankey's going to do. So.
Yeah. Put him down a little bit.
Yeah. 50, Toby Gerhart. 51, Chris Johnson. 52, Shane Vereen.
Who had a broken arm last season when he was blowing up and didn't come back till the end of the season, which is a bummer. I think Shane Vereen's actually a really good running back.
53, Vernon Davis, tight end for the San Francisco 49ers.
He's a good tight end, just not as good as...
I'm not sure if you know, did they build that new stadium for San Francisco?
I'm not sure.
Because I'm not sure if that was going to be ready for this season or next season. I have a feeling it was this season that they got everything ready. It's a really nice stadium. I saw like a diagram of it. It's supposed to be really nice looking, and it's definitely going to be better than the place they were playing in before.
I'm just waiting for the Jaguars to go to London already.
Yeah, Jaguars go to London, possibly Los Angeles.
Yep.
I know Los Angeles has been trying to get a team again after their beloved Rams went to St. Louis.
I mean, Jacksonville I think they're sort of in that breakup stage where they're like, we don't care about you, even if you're playing good.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, who would care if the Jaguars moved? I don't think a whole lot of people would care. Although it's kind of interesting now because the Jaguars ended up with that quarterback who's from Florida.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's going to be a lot of people maybe coming to see him play, hoping he can.
Dude, when I played Madden, I would always have the Jaguars pick up Tim Tebow. It's like a match made in heaven.
It is,
and he's better than the quarterbacks they had, Henne and whatever last year.
Yeah.
Put together,
and
he's better
that guy
than
from University of Missouri that ended up being a bust.
I think he could have made an awesome season if they picked him up. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. Let's see. Finishing off here, 54 is Ray Rice. He's right below Vernon Davis.
Also hit a wall last year.
And he's sort of in a little bit of controversy now as he beat his wife in the elevator, right?
Let's not do that.
It's very simple not to
hit. Very simple. Don't hit your wife.
Hit the players on the football field.
Yeah, just do that.
Number 55, Josh Gordon.
It's a good fit. Him and Manziel are.
It is a good
they got
fit.
that cocky swagger.
I don't know. I have a feeling that the Browns are going to be a better team than they definitely were.
They'll be better, but they're still brown.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Which is code word for crap.
And the last player on this list, it's went up to 56, but Deshaun Jackson.
Move him up. He's not 56.
Wide receiver for the Washington Redskins.
Put him in the 40s. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
you could definitely move him in front of
move him up.
Roddy White.
Yeah.
Cordero Patterson for sure.
For sure.
possibly Keenan Allen too. Yeah, you definitely go above there. I guess a lot of people are down on the Redskins since they had such a bad year, and RG3 hasn't been able to do much since he's come into the NFL.
Well, he's been injured all the time. Most
that's
running quarterbacks have that issue of, you're going to get hit by a guy that's bigger than you.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad that to my left we have a football diagram of all the teams in the division. So just real quick, who do you think is going to win that division in the AFC North? You got Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh.
Baltimore, Cleveland,
Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh.
I'd go with Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. This is definitely a tough division to pick out.
Well, not for the Browns. And Baltimore hasn't been that. They lost their defense when they lost Lewis.
I think it's either going to be Cincinnati or Pittsburgh. I could see the Steelers having a good year.
Yeah, I could. That's what I was thinking about. Cincinnati or Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think it's up in the air between those two.
And then the AFC East has New England,
Patriots.
Buffalo,
that's too easy. It's the Patriots,
the Jets, and Miami. Yeah, I think it's probably going to finish. I could see maybe the Bills finishing in second.
Yeah,
the Jets possibly finishing in second. But yeah, I don't think that division's not going to have the wild cards.
It's the Patriots' division to lose.
Right,
I mean, they would have to. The coach would have to die, and Tom Brady would have to have a stroke for them not to.
Yeah, the AFC West has the Raiders, Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs. Who do you think?
I want to say Chiefs all the way.
Chiefs?
Chiefs all the way, man.
It's definitely going to be a two-team race again between the Broncos and Chiefs,
Yeah.
I think. Houston, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Indianapolis. That's the AFC South.
Indianapolis has a solid team.
Yeah, I think Indianapolis is going to win that
while.
division.
I think the Titans can...
Houston's going to be a
good.
better team than they were last year, but I don't think they're going to go to the playoffs.
I think the Titans are going to beat Houston.
Okay, yeah,
I think they're going to be pretty decent. I think our Stanky Bishop is going to take that team far.
We're going to take a break, come back and talk to you about some fantasy baseball. I guess we'll go over the NFC right when we come back, too, just real quick. But yeah, we're going to take a break and come back for talking about some baseball. We're going to go over some of the players that we picked 2 Fridays ago and see how we did on that. So you're listening to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com.
And now it's time for Fantasy Fanatics.
Here I am.
Yes, we're
sitting here, beautiful studios in Lombard.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about some baseball now. But first, before we do that, we were going over just real quick, just sort of off the top of our heads, who we think was going to win the divisions. And we're going to continue doing that right now. So in the NFC, who do you have in the NFC East, which is Washington, Philadelphia, Dallas, and New York?
I'm going to pull a stunner and go ahead and say Washington.
Washington. RG3 is going to lead them to the playoffs.
RG3 and, just Alfred Morris, RG3. They have the pieces to do very well. I'll go with Washington and the Giants.
I can see Eli having a big year because he really didn't have a good year last year
at all. No.
So, but I could see him turning it around, and
I'd
they
say
do have some good pieces.
This is the closest division.
I agree
because you have the Eagles,
is.
Dallas, the Giants. It could be any of those teams.
The Eagles could definitely do something with their new quarterback Nick Foles, and he's done pretty well. I mean, he had a great season last year.
Indeed.
And Dallas, of course, Tony Romo.
I hate Tony.
You never know what you're going to get with him.
I am not a fan of Tony Romo.
No, I'm not either.
He's inconsistent. You can call yourself a gunslinger. I just call you someone that throws a lot of interceptions.
The NFC South, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Atlanta. I think Andrew picked Carolina for this.
I'm going to go with Carolina, but it's really between the Carolina and the Saints.
Yeah, that's sort of the same thing for me. I think one's going to win the division, one's going to definitely be a wild card. So, just like it was last year. The NFC West, San Francisco, Arizona, Seattle, and St. Louis. This is another tough division.
I have Seattle going to the Super Bowl, so I guess I know who I'm picking.
I definitely think, again, like last year, I think you're going to get a wild card from one of these teams. From San Francisco or Seattle. One's going to win the division, one's going to win the wild card. St. Louis, I think, will fall just short. But I definitely think they'll have a better season. I think they're going to be over 500, possibly 9-10 wins.
I think they need to get a new quarterback. Sam Bradford's not.
Yeah, Sam Bradford. If he gets injured again, then the season goes. But if he's healthy, they're going to be more competitive. And finally, the NFC North. You got the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings.
I'm taking. Don't hate me. Taking the Lions.
Lions?
Yeah.
I'm going to take Bears. It's year 2 with Mark Trestman. So I would expect them to be improved. And if Jay Cutler could just put together a full season, if he could just play 16 games, 15 games, 14 games, anything.
Anything more than the 10 he usually plays.
Anything more than the 9 or 10 that he usually plays, I think they'll win the division. A couple dramatic wins over the Packers would be nice, too.
Get that dude some Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And the Packers could definitely win the division, too. But, yeah.
It's between those three. I don't really see the Vikings as a competitive.
No. But I do think the NFC North is going to be a lot more competitive than it has been. So that was it for football. And next time on Fantasy Fanatics, we'll do, obviously, more with football and more stuff with football.
Yeah, more news will be created.
Yes.
There just hasn't been. They haven't even done spring training yet, or not spring training. They haven't started the.
Yeah.
They're just doing workouts.
Right now, real quick before we go over the pitching matchups from 2 weeks ago and who we picked and how they did, me and Andrew wanted to let you guys know, so you don't think we cheated, that we both take Jason Hamill tonight.
Jason Hamill winning
today
against Miami, who is fish out of water when it comes to being away from home. They're in Chicago, flopping around, and hopefully it shows on the field today. Because the Chicago Cubs, hopefully they're growing to the Chicago Grizzly Bears.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Cubs have won 3 straight. First sweep at Wrigley Field since 2012. I saw that, since like July 2012, so it's definitely been a long time since the Cubs have won 3 straight. But
Rizzo smacked a home run last night to put him in the lead.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty awesome.
Made me pretty happy.
Yeah, he's definitely having a way better season than he's had. Hopefully this is the turning point.
Last year was kind of his opening, like coming to the big leagues, being
he
a
was
starter.
good then too. Mm-hmm.
He did pretty good. His batting average was a little low, but
he's having a good season this year. He's
just
batting 270 something.
You bring up Baez, and I'd say we're going to be a competitive team for once.
Yeah, and Starlin Castro really is having a good year offensively. Defensively, you still see the errors, you still see some misplays, but he's definitely having a good year offensively.
They finally got rid of Darwin Barney.
He's not playing too much. He plays,
his batting average,
his
defense is good, but his batting average isn't good enough to be in the big leagues.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're batting 240, 230.
So let's go over those pitching matchups from 2 weeks ago. We had Nick here with us, so he's included in this. It was the Indians versus the Orioles. Bud Norris against T.J. House. Bud Norris, all 3 of us picked Bud Norris, and guess what? Bud Norris got the win, so we all got a point there. So that's obviously good. The Dodgers versus the Phillies, it was Roberto Hernandez versus Clayton Kershaw. We all picked Clayton Kershaw, and guess what? Clayton Kershaw won.
Wow, we're amazing.
We're 2-0, all of us, 2-0. Actually, I'm going to mark this down. I'm going to write each person's initial
record.
And so we each have 2 points for doing that. The Nationals versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jordan Zimmerman versus Charlie Morton. Me and Nick went with Jordan Zimmerman. You went with Charlie Morton, and you got the win.
Oh, my God.
Charlie Morton did beat Jordan Zimmerman.
I told you.
Pretty surprising, because Charlie Morton hasn't had that good of a year, but he did get a win.
He can't lose every single game. That was my deciding factor.
Yeah, so Andrew's in the lead currently with 3 points to 2 points. Oakland versus Toronto. That was Scott Kazmir versus Liam Hendricks. All of us picked Scott Kazmir. Surprisingly enough, Scott Kazmir took a tough loss this game.
Oh, man. That's
so none of us get points for that. Liam Hendricks ended up beating him, and I think that might be the only loss that Kazmir has had all year.
Play ball. The Cubbies are playing.
Are they underway now?
Yeah, they're underway.
Good. The Texas Rangers versus the Detroit Tigers. It was Scott Baker versus Anibal Sanchez. We all picked Anibal Sanchez. Anibal Sanchez won.
All right.
So Andrew is in the lead 4-3 over me and Nick. Let's see. Diamondbacks versus the Mets. That was Chase Anderson against Bartolo Colon. This game was postponed.
Oh, that's
and
a
it was
bummer.
not. And when they made it up, the pitchers weren't pitching because they were all. So we're gonna just cancel that one out.
Yeah.
The Boston Red Sox versus the Tampa Bay Rays. It was John Lackey versus Chris Archer. Both pitchers got a no decision, so we're not getting points for that.
Bummer.
The Brewers versus the Marlins. Marco Estrada versus Tom Kohler. You and Nick went with Tom Kohler. I went with Marco Estrada. Marco Estrada did get the win.
No.
So I was right there.
It's competitive so far.
Nick is, for the time being, Nick is in last with 3 points, and Andrew and I are tied with 4 points. The Cardinals versus the Reds. It was Shelby Miller versus Homer Bailey. Nick and I went with Homer Bailey. You went with Shelby Miller, and Shelby Miller took the loss. Homer Bailey got the win.
Gosh darn it.
So
I think we're all even.
4, and I'm in the lead with 5
Oh,
currently.
you took the lead.
Yes, but Colorado Rockies versus the Atlanta Braves. It was Gavin Floyd versus Jordan Lyles. We all went with Jordan Lyles. There was no decision in this game. Neither
Bummer.
pitcher got a win or loss, so yeah, no points there. New York Yankees versus the White Sox. It was Hiroki Kuroda versus Hector Noesi. Another no decision. We all went with Hiroki Kuroda.
Yeah.
I believe the White Sox ended up winning this game. I think this was the game that Adam Dunn hit a walk-off home run, if I'm not mistaken. I think they won 6-5 or 7-6. But yeah, Hiroki Kuroda pitched good, but he didn't get a win, no decision. The Kansas City Royals versus the Angels. It was Danny Duffy versus C.J. Wilson. You and Nick picked C.J. Wilson. I picked Danny Duffy. C.J. Wilson won.
No, I'm back in it.
Got a
It's all
loss
tied up.
It's tied up at 5 apiece for each person.
Wow.
Chicago Cubs versus San Diego Padres. We all went with Edwin Jackson, and Tim Stoffer actually got the win
Gosh darn
over
it.
Edwin Jackson, so no points there. That's interesting.
That is.
Houston Astros versus Seattle Mariners. We all went with Felix Hernandez, because it was Felix Hernandez against Brad Peacock, and Felix Hernandez won, so we all get points there.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious that we would all pick Felix Hernandez.
Yeah.
And is this one the final game here? Minnesota versus San Francisco. It was Kyle Gibson for Minnesota versus Tim Lincecum for San Francisco. Andrew and I picked Kyle Gibson. Nick picked Tim Lincecum, and Nick got the win.
Oh my God, Nick beat us.
Nick beat us 7-6.
No.
So he's not even here to gloat or anything, but yeah, he got the win. So congrats, Nick Swinky.
Yeah, congrats to you. What a close matchup, man.
I know it really was.
I was on the edge of my seat the entire time,
It's pretty exciting,
especially when you played those mind games. And the guy's name, and then he lost. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, Nick won. We're gonna take a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to do the games for tonight. And this will just be me and Andrew deciding on who we think is going to win or lose. Of course, you already heard our answer for the Cubs one, as we both took Jason Hamill over Nathan Eovaldi. We got that pick in before the game started, so we didn't cheat. If Jason Hamill wins, we accurately picked that before the game starts. So you're listening to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com.
Winners.
I did it. I won. Yes.
Losers.
I never win anything.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. Ryan Stuppridge here.
Andrew Freeman and I never lose,
No.
except for twice in fantasy baseball.
Oh,
Those are
if you
horrible
could pull
things.
up the scoreboard for if you're in our league thing.
Bonifacio just struck out looking at 0-0 bottom of the
Bonifacio,
first.
What are you doing?
Yep. Eovaldi isn't that good of a pitcher, so
No, yeah, he's
Come on.
really not. And the Marlins really don't play well when they're not at home.
Like I said, fish out of water.
So yeah, if you could check the scoreboard just real quick, let the people know who's beating who so far.
0-0. 0-0. Miami, Chicago.
Yeah. But also, I meant to say in our league.
Oh, our
in
our league
Fantasy Fanatics
scoreboard.
League. Just real quick before we start going over the pitchers for tonight.
Nashville Conquerors is currently beating me by 3.5 points, 253 to 249.5. Shinner Squad is beating you by about 7 points, something like that.
Yeah, 7 points.
174 to 167. I Like Stanton's Girls is holding on to a small lead against San Jose Wombats. Just in Time is demolishing 162-0. Coco and Company and Get Down with Kipnis have a close one at 205 to 234.
Yeah.
And I lost to I Like Stanton Girls just the other week. That's my second loss of the season.
Yeah, that's how you guys are tied for first place.
4 points. It was a 4-point game.
Only 4 points?
Only 4 points.
Did he have a player at the end that sort of like carried it, or?
Yeah, Stanton. And I had an injury. Arenado got injured that week.
Oh,
so
yeah, that sucks.
He had the hand issue he got surgery for.
Man. Okay, let's go over some of these. We'll get to a couple of them before the next update, but let's start with the Marlins and Cubs, as we both picked Jason Hamill.
Yep.
And he's pitching right now. He has a scoreless inning, so far so good.
One hit, but no big deal.
Yeah. And I also have Jason Hamill in our Fantasy Fanatics League. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Hopefully, because he pitched really good against Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's really good this year, and he pitched a shutout inning against them, so yeah. Next game is the Brewers at the Pirates. That's tonight, 6:05 start. Kyle Loesch versus Brandon Compton. Loesch was outstanding against the Cubs on Sunday.
He was.
Tossing a 3-hit shutout and using only 93 pitches to do so. Wow. He has been the Brewers' most reliable pitcher this season with 10 quality starts and 12 attempts.
7 wins, 1 loss with a 2.60 ERA.
Wow.
Get off him. He's the man.
And for the Pirates, Brandon Compton, right-handed pitcher for the Pirates. Compton had one of those stats skew outings in his last start, roughed up for 10 earned runs and 3 2/3 innings in L.A.
Yep.
So he has a chance to show his ability to turn the page. He's yet to allow a homer in 27 2/3 innings in PNC Park, and that's where they're playing. The Pirates are home. Who do you like in this game, Loesch or Compton?
Compton is 0 for 2 with a 6.85 ERA. I'm going to, of course, stick with my fantasy player, Loesch.
Yeah, I'm going to take Loesch, too. Loesch is just clearly the better player. And the Brewers are red hot right now.
Oh, yeah.
The Oakland Athletics at Baltimore. Tommy Malone versus Wei Yin Chen. Tommy Malone got hit hard when he faced the Angels on Saturday, but he managed to escape with a quality outing thanks to, in large part, to Yoenis Cespedes, who threw out 2 runners at the plate in the second inning. Wow. And Malone's ERA is just 1.67 in 5 starts since May 9th.
Nice.
So who are you going to take, Tommy Malone or Wei Yin Chen?
I'm going to take the team, not just the pitcher, but Oakland.
You're going to take Oakland?
All the way, yeah.
I'm going to take Oakland because Oakland is a better team, and also Malone's ERA is a 1.67 since May 9th. So.
Entire season, he's at 3.60, which is not bad at all. 3 wins, 3 losses. He's going to get his 4th win tonight.
I could definitely see that happening. Next is the Cardinals at the Blue Jays. Ooh, tough interleague game for the Cardinals to go into because the Blue Jays have been the hottest team in baseball for a good 2 weeks.
And surprise, surprise, Encarnacion decided to play in the month of May. 11 home runs in the month of May, making us shut up.
Yeah, he because we were like, Bautista's better than him.
Well, he was at the beginning of the season, but then
Encarnacion is
11 home runs in a single month. Some people don't even have that in the year.
I know, that's like Barry Bonds stuff.
He's leading in home runs, and oh my gosh, he's on fire.
So we got Lance Lynn versus Marcus Stroman. Lance Lynn, after tossing the first shutout of his career May 27th against the Yankees, Lynn followed it up Sunday with his shortest outings since August 24th, 2012. He lasted only 3 1/3 innings, allowing 7 runs on 8 hits.
You would have to check the stats out about this, but it seems like after you throw a shutout, you don't throw so well the game after. I don't know if it has to do with emotions or the build-up of the game, but...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm actually going to take Toronto on this one, Stroman.
Stroman?
Yeah.
I'm sort of split out here. I'm going to... I really don't know who to take. Stroman has a little paragraph here. Let me read this, see if it changes anything. Stroman earned a win in his first Major League start on the same day he was recalled from AAA Buffalo. That's pretty exciting. The 5'9" right-hander pitched 6 innings and allowed 1 earned run on 5 hits with 6 strikeouts against the Royals on Saturday. See, that was against the Royals.
The Royals aren't that bad of a team, though.
I know. They're not that bad of a team. They're starting to turn it around. I know they took 3 out of 4 from St. Louis, which is always
the only thing
happy.
that's disconcerting is that he has a 7.30 ERA. That concerns me.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing.
I'm going to take the hot bats of Toronto over...
Yeah, I'm going to take Lance Lynn. I think Lance Lynn is going to bounce back.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, Lance Lynn's a good pitcher, but I don't think he's going to bounce back that quickly.
So we have our first disagreement here, and
Yes.
and we'll see who wins and loses that tonight. The Red Sox are at the Tigers. Ruby De La Rosa versus Drew Smiley. Drew Smiley is doing okay. He's mirrored in a 5-game winless streak in his second season as a starter, but he hasn't had that high of an ERA. He's allowed 16 runs on 32 hits over his last 5 starts. That's not a whole lot, but it's definitely something to be concerned about. Ruby De La Rosa for the Red Sox. He's coming off a spectacular first start in a Boston uniform, which he fired 7 shutout innings while walking none and striking out 8. De La Rosa threw 105 pitches in that start against the Rays, 72 for strikes. So who are you going to take, Ruby De La Rosa or Drew Smiley? I think I'm going to go with Ruby De La Rosa.
I'm also going to pick a De La Rosa.
Okay. Both going with Ruby De La Rosa.
Rosa.
De La Rosa.
Rosa.
Philadelphia Phillies at the Cincinnati Reds. Yeah, Cole Hamels versus Johnny Cueto.
Let's just go with Cueto.
You're going to go with Cueto?
Let's not even think about that.
I'll go with Cueto,
We're both
too.
going with Cueto. Hamels, come on.
Hamels, he's
1-3, 4.0 ERA. Cueto's got. For some reason, Cueto's 5-4 with a 1.68. I think he should be doing better, but Cincinnati's bats have been.
Yeah, and the Phillies are now 1-7 with Cole Hamels on the mound in 2014. That pretty much says it all right there.
I think they're going to let him go if he keeps that up.
Yeah, he's definitely at the end of his career for sure. Seattle Mariners at Tampa Bay. You got Chris Young versus Eric Bedard.
Yeah.
Let's read about Eric Bedard. Eric Bedard suffered his 4th loss on Sunday at Fenway. The veteran allowed 3 runs on 5 hits while walking 4 and striking out 4. He's 1-2 with a 4.26 ERA at home this year at Tropicana Field.
Yeah, I'm going to say forever Young. I'm going with Young.
Let's see Chris Young. The 6'10" right-hander has allowed just 3 runs and 5 hits in 12 1/3 innings.
That's not
in
bad.
his last 2 starts. And those were wins over the Angels and Tigers, so 2
Those are good
pretty tough
teams.
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely say Young then.
As he's provided a big boost for Seattle. After having some starting pitcher problems before. But I'm also going to take Chris Young. I think they're going to go into Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's currently the worst team in baseball record-wise.
They are. They lost like 11 in a row at some point or something like that.
Yeah, they're
really bad month of May.
pretty
for them.
surprising, really.
Yeah. Well,
they were expected to compete for that division again, as they've
they
pretty much
don't-
been competitive for a long time.
They don't have the players to compete anymore, and Price is getting up there in age, so
Yeah,
they're going to have to make some big
And
movements.
Their pitching staff has been depleted. That's why Eric Bedard is pitching in the first place, guys. Because Matt Moore's done for the season with Tommy John.
Hellickson, is Hellickson still in?
Hellickson might be there. He might be in the bullpen. He's
Cobb
not very good,
is
though.
still there. I mean, they have good
Cobb
pitchers.
is there, but he was hurt. Archer hasn't pitched that well this year.
Archer's not what they were expecting.
He was a former Cubs prospect too.
Yeah.
And, I think the Cubs traded him away to get Garza, I think is what they did.
Horrible decision.
Yeah, definitely.
Got rid of him a year later.
We'll go over the rest of the games after a quick update. And also we'll do the hometown breakdown. We'll talk about, because the Blackhawks lost in very disappointing fashion, of course, and that was kind of sad.
Boo.
Yeah, we'll do the 7th inning stretch too. We'll play that for you. But first, time for an update.
Now it's time for Fantasy Fanatics.
Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
Miyamo Freeman.
And we're going over some of the teams for the matchups tonight. And we have the Cleveland Indians at the Texas Rangers. It's going to be Trevor Bauer against Yu Darvish. Who do you have in this game? Trevor Bauer turned in another quality start his last time out, limiting the Rockets to 2 runs. Not the Rockets, the Rockies, to 2 runs over 6 innings while registering his third 8-strikeout game of the season. This will be his first career start against Texas. And Yu Darvish, well, we know about Yu Darvish, but he threw 8 scoreless innings in a 2-0 victory over the Nationals and is 4-1 with a 1.67 ERA in his last 5 starts, so he's definitely turning it around after not doing so well the first month of the season. He had no troubles with any stiffness in his neck. He is 0-2 with a 3.0 ERA in 2 career starts against the Indians. Who do you think is going to win this game?
I'm going to go with Yu Darvish and say Texas has actually surprised me with their team fell apart, but they're still winning. They're not as much of a big as a run team now because they can't get as many runs without Prince Fielder, but they're doing it with pitching.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Yu Darvish. I'm losing my voice.
You're also taking Darvish?
Yeah, I'm taking Yu Darvish.
Nice. He's got He's 5-2 with the 2.08 ERA.
The next game is the Houston Astros versus the Minnesota Twins. We have Dallas Keuchel versus Phil Hughes.
Phil Hughes has been a pleasant story. And Minnesota's been doing pretty good with the bats. So I'll probably go with Phil Hughes.
Let me see here.
I mean, Keuchel's a good pitcher, but it's Houston.
Yeah, I added him last week, and then I ended up dropping him to add... Who did I add? I think I added back Marco Estrada on the Brewers. But yeah, I'm going to also go with Phil Hughes. He's really done good lately. So, next game, the Yankees at the Royals. You got Chase Whitley versus Jeremy Guthrie.
I don't know much about Whitley, to be honest with you.
Chase Whitley matched his season high in throwing 5 innings against the Twins on Sunday. The rookie was effective, striking out 6 and walking none while allowing 5 hits and 1 earned run on 83 pitches.
I don't know. I guess I'll go with the Yankees with Whitley.
I'm going to take Jeremy Guthrie. I think he's going to turn it around and have a good game.
Yeah.
So that's another disagreement that we had.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, go over the last 3 games, I think. Or there's a couple more. There's like 5 more games.
Before Ryan dies of thirst or something.
Kind of get a drink of water. For some reason,
absolutely.
Having trouble speaking here. I'll be fine after a drink of water, hopefully.
Yeah, we don't need you to die on air, but it would be good for ratings.
Yeah, we'll take a break, come back, and talk more about these matchups. Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I got my voice back, which is good. Just had to drink some water, I guess.
Let's get some ruds, Cubbies.
Yeah, my voice is still kind of scratchy a little bit, but hopefully it'll be better.
On with the show, as they say.
Yes. Dodgers at the Rockies. We got Hyun-Jin Ryu versus Eddie Butler. Hyun-Jin Ryu, it wasn't quite the near perfecto he threw in his previous start, but Ryu was effective Saturday, scattering 10 hits but allowing just 2 runs in 6 innings. Ryu had to deal with a few long innings on the bench thanks to 12 runs from his offense. So that's a lot of offense.
Yes, it is.
But, of course, the Dodgers have a lot of offense. So do the Rockies, who have Eddie Butler going to the mound. Butler, the Rockies' number 2 prospect, will make his big league debut tonight against the Dodgers. The 23-year-old righty went 4-4 with a 2.49 ERA at AAA Tulsa this season.
I have a horrible feeling. I'm happy it's his debut, but does it have to be against the Dodgers?
Yeah, that's the thing. It sucks that it's against, best offense in baseball almost.
And a good pitcher, so I'm going to go with Ryu, because...
You're going to go with Ryu.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a gamble and go with Eddie Butler.
That is a gamble. You were right about that.
Yeah, I think, his minor league numbers look pretty impressive. Obviously, it's a big difference from AAA to the majors, but Rockies are pitching at home. I know the ball goes out of the park there a lot, so the Dodgers might the Dodgers might have a field day, but I think Eddie Butler can control it a little bit, and I think the Rockies' offense will be good too. The Braves at the Diamondbacks. We got Julio Teheran versus Brandon McCarthy.
You know who I'm going to take.
Taking your guy, Julio Teheran.
My guy, Teheran, all day.
I'm taking Julio Teheran, too. I don't really need to think about that.
McCarthy's 1-7 with a 5.20 ERA on the year.
Yeah, that's not good. The White Sox at the Angels. Andre Rienzo versus Jared Weaver. The Angels' ace was on fire from April 18th to May 21st, going 5-1 with a 1.70 ERA. But in his last 2 starts, Weaver has given up 3 runs in 6 innings against the Mariners, and 6 runs, 5 earned in 6 innings against the A's. And then for Andre Rienzo, it was a less than efficient day for the right-hander, who needed 80 pitches to get through 3 1/3 innings on Saturday. Andre Rienzo struck out 4, walked 2, and allowed 7 hits, but he admitted that his command was a major issue. I'm going to take Jared Weaver.
I'm going to take Jared Weaver.
Okay. Yeah, I just think Jared Weaver is a better pitcher, and if Andre Rienzo's having command issues, I'm not sure if he'll win this game. We only got 2 more games left to go over. Nationals versus the Padres. This is at Petco Park. You got Tanner Roark, who's one of my pitchers, against Tyson Ross. Tanner Roark allowed just 1 earned run on a Leonis Martin homer in 7 innings in his last start versus the Rangers, but was outdueled by Yu Darvish and took his 4th loss, so that's a tough loss for Tanner Roark. Since May 3rd, Roark's ERA has dropped from 4.17 to 3.25, so he's doing good of late. And Tyson Ross allowed 1 earned run in 6 innings in his last time out, a win over the White Sox in Chicago. His stuff and command wasn't as good as it's been this season, but he got some big outs when needed. Opponents are hitting just .241 against him.
Ross.
You're going to go with Ross?
Yep.
I'm going to take Tanner Roark, probably because I'm biased and he's my pitcher. But
yep.
Yeah. They're both pretty good pitchers, though.
Yeah.
This is definitely going to be one to watch for because it's definitely going to be probably a pretty good pitching matchup. In the final game, in San Francisco, you got the Mets and the Giants. The Mets have Jonathan Neese. The Giants have Matt Cain. For Jonathan Neese, when his team is coming off consecutive 14-inning games, Neese was efficient in his last outing, needing just 91 pitches to deliver 8 innings of 2-run ball. He last faced the Giants in September, holding them to 2 runs in 7 innings. And for Matt Cain and the Giants manager Bruce Bochy declared Cain good to go for his start, clearing San Francisco's number 2 starter for the duty after a right hamstring injury forced him onto the disabled list for a second time this year.
You said duty.
Yeah, duty. Who do you think is going to win, John Neese or Matt Cain?
I'm going Cain.
You're going to go Kane. I'm going to go Jonathan Neese. The Mets are coming off a sweep from the Cubs. I think they're sort of due for a win, and Jonathan Neese has pitched pretty well. So, I'm going to take Neese.
Okie dokie.
And that concludes that part of the show as we went over. And we'll go over what we did next time on Fantasy Fanatics, of course. And now I'm going to try to play the hometown breakdown thing, actually, so we can hear it. And then we'll talk a little bit about Cubs, Sox, and Blackhawks, and some other stuff, too, probably in these next couple minutes. So, yeah, we'll be back in just about a minute.
If you were a hot dog and you were starving, would you eat yourself?
What?
I know I would. First, I'd smother myself with brown mustard and relish. I'd be so delicious. So would you?
I don't know.
Don't jerk me around, Norm. It's a simple question. A baby could answer it. If you were a hot dog and you were starving, would you eat yourself?
I guess so.
Oh, you made a wise choice, my friend.
It's the hometown breakdown.
Chicago Cubs, Sox, Bears, and Bulls.
Okay, we're back here on Fantasy Fanatics.
And the Blackhawks.
And the Blackhawks, yes. We didn't include them in that drop, but oh well. Time has passed for them anyway, as they lost the Western Conference Finals Game 7 in overtime. How more dramatic does it get than that? They lost to the Los Angeles Kings. And I know I was very disappointed when I was watching the game, obviously, because I don't want to see the Kings go on to the Stanley Cup. And the Kings also won Game 1 against the Rangers. Of course, that was in overtime, too. All these hockey games seem to be going into overtime.
The East has nothing on the West, dude. So I think the Kings will...
Yeah, I think the Kings will probably win. I'd like the Rangers to win, though, just because it sort of makes a good story, because I know I don't know if he's their captain. It was a player that they traded for like late in the season around the trade deadline. They got Marty St. Louis, who I believe his mother died during the Pittsburgh Penguins series, which was first or second round. I think it was the second round. And he came back to the team like a day after she died, and he scored a goal on Mother's Day, I know. So it would just make a really good story. I know a lot of people are talking about that in the news and everything. But Game 2 might be tonight. At least it should be tonight. See, it's either tonight or tomorrow. But, that'll be interesting. But, I was just so bummed that the Blackhawks lost, because they came out in that first period, they scored 2 quick goals, and they were looking in pretty good shape. But as the Hawks have taught us, those 2 goals early don't necessarily mean much anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, and the NBA Finals. Did you watch the
I did.
game?
I watched the end of it. I watched the last quarter of play.
Yeah, I saw most of the game. It was a pretty good game, and then
it was a good game until LeBron got off.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people have like different opinions on this, on whether LeBron should have played or shouldn't have played. I'm sort of split between it. I'm not sure what to think. I know
you can't
that
play.
If I had a cramp, I wouldn't play, but I'm not a basketball player.
You can't play when you have a cramp like that, but drink some damn water. I don't understand. You take timeouts, you're drinking water.
Yeah.
What? And the fact that he had to get picked up and placed on the chair on the bench just makes me think,
it's a little
come
unnecessary.
on, man. You're so... LeBron's a baby.
Yeah, well, I think it's more of the culture of the players now, because in the Jordan era, you'd play through anything. Jordan played through 104 fever in
Jordan almost died.
Game 5 of the 1997 Finals. He's
Jordan
dying on the
died,
court and still put up 34 points.
LeBron is just a baby, man.
Yeah, I just I don't really know what to think of the subject. I just know that the best player in the league.
I was talking to my friends while it was happening. I was like, did he tear his MCL? Because he looks like he's in writhing pain. He's not bending his knee.
And it's just a cramp, and I'm sure he's fine by now.
And they picked him up and put him on the bench for a cramp.
And of course, the Heat were only down by 2 at that point, and then the Spurs went off because James wasn't in the lineup. I'm telling you. And the guy who went off for the Spurs was Danny Green, and I was wondering, I was thinking, if James was still playing, he'd probably be guarding Danny Green, and Danny Green might not make those 2 big threes. And a couple other big shots that he made, and Tony Parker wouldn't be getting into the lane, and Tim Duncan wouldn't have open dunks towards the end of the game and everything. It all has to do with LeBron James, and obviously he was in pain. I mean, I know that much, but when it comes to finals time, you really got to put yourself out there. I'm not saying that he shouldn't or shouldn't have played. I'm just saying that it was obviously the reason why the Heat lost that game was because James wasn't in the game for the last 7 minutes, or however long it was.
Yeah,
last 4 minutes, I think.
San Antonio was making everything after that too. Every three.
Yep.
I think it was after that dude dunked on that other guy, that new guy that they picked up. The Bulls were looking at him. I can't remember his name.
The guy on the Heat?
No, he was on San Antonio.
Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, he had that huge dunk.
Yeah, yes, I saw
and then
that.
they went off. And it wasn't just like he beat them dunk. He dunked on the guy. He could have tap danced on that dude's spine. He was so on top of that guy. It was sick.
And Manu Ginobili also hit 3 threes in the first quarter, which really got them starting to go. And, it really set up a good intensity from the get-go. It's just Game 2 is Sunday, I think, so they have 2 days off so LeBron
hopefully
can rest
LeBron
that cramp.
can get that rubbed out by a professional.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Maybe he'll call you up, Andrew.
Yeah, call me up. I'm really good at rubbing things out, like ankle injuries, cramps.
Yeah, so
tears.
You might rubbing out tears. Yeah, as he's crying, as he's being carried off. I really think the Spurs are going to win the championship this year, and of course
so.
I want them
They
to.
deserve it. I like Tim Duncan. He's that's a player that you should be following.
I mean, everyone likes Tim Duncan. He's been one of the favorite players of a lot of.
He's classy.
He's
a classy guy. He doesn't talk trash.
It's just, it's an extremely classy team. It's hard not to like the Spurs. It's hard. Everyone loves Greg Popovich. He's such an awesome
This will
guy.
be the second time the Heat's been beaten by an older team.
Right, they got beat by the Mavericks.
Which
obviously, which was a big surprise, but that was only the first year that the Heat were with James and Bosh.
You can give half those players canes now because they're that old.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, the Spurs got gypped last year, where they should have won the championship, and then James hit a big 3, and then Allen hit a 3, and there was a couple missed free throws by the Spurs. But I really think that the Spurs are going to win this next game, which is Game 2. Hopefully they'll get the air conditioning fixed by then. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. It was hotter inside than it was outside?
Yeah, it was.
They showed that it was
something
like 82 degrees outside.
Yeah, it was 82
90.
degrees outside and 90 degrees inside the AT&T Center or whatever that's called. Yeah, it's...
still no reason to be cramping up.
It's crazy, but a lot of people think... of course, that makes a great excuse for why LeBron cramped
You have
up.
water bottles and Gatorade and all sorts of stuff on the bench.
Right.
I just don't understand.
Yeah. That about does it here for Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. We will talk to you next time. We'll be talking about football and baseball.
Yeah, if you have any questions or any statements you want to send us, you can send it to me on Twitter at Freeman Radio.
And I'm at Ryan Stuppridge. And, you can also like the page on Facebook. And, that about does it. For Andrew Freeman, I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
Yeah.
And we will see you next time. Fantasy Fanatics, SportsTownChicago.com.